This short video will give you an overview of the Charlotte-Danielson framework and cycle of evaluation that is part of the Wisconsin Educator Effectiveness Model incorporating teacher practice. If you haven't viewed the overview video yet, we highly recommend that before viewing this slideshow. You can find it at weac.org/EE. The design team, of which WEAC was a member, generated a core set of guiding principles. An educator evaluation system must deliver information that guides effective educational practice that is aligned with student learning and development, documents evidence of effective educator practice, documents evidence of student learning, informs appropriate professional development, informs educator preparation programs, supports a full range of human resource decisions, and is credible, valid, reliable, comparable, and uniform across districts. Workgroups used these guiding principles as they crafted the educator practice and student performance components of the Educator Effectiveness Program. In the Educator Effectiveness Model, teacher evaluation is split into two parts. 50% of teacher evaluation will be based on teacher practice, the art of teaching and teaching standards, and 50% will be based on student outcomes, assessment measures from multiple sources. This presentation will focus on teacher practice. There were a number of reasons the design team selected the Charlotte-Danielson framework. Her model has a rigorous research background, exhibiting both content and criterion validity. It has widespread state and national use. The Danielson Group provides professional development, and the framework is aligned with the in-task standards, the foundation of our educator licensing process. The four framework domains are as follows. Domain 1 defines how a teacher organizes the content of what students should learn. This includes all elements of instructional design. Domain 2 contains non-instructional interactions in the classroom. This covers the climate and culture of a classroom. Domain 3 components describe the actual engagement of students in the instructional task. Domain 4 covers the teacher's role outside of the classroom, things such as self-reflection and professional growth, contributions to the school, the district, and the profession. Each domain also has 5 or 6 components. You will be responsible for collecting evidence for each of the domains and components. A close study of the Charlotte-Danielson framework will give you more in-depth descriptions of these components and ideas about evidence for each. Here are some examples. As a world language teacher, you've designed a formative assessment to use to determine what skills your students need for additional practice. This is an example of the component Designing Student Assessments in Domain 1. You have a folder of tasks for your paraeducator to complete in supporting your special education students. This is an example of Managing Classroom Procedures in Domain 2. Your students are excited about the classroom activity they're involved in, and they shout out, "What's next?" This is an example of Engaging Students in Learning in Domain 3. Your election to the presidency of the State Association of Professional Science Teachers is an example of growing and developing as a professional in Domain 4. The Educator Effectiveness Model includes many steps to the teacher practice evaluation process. At all times, the work that we do to drive our professional learning should come from what we observe our students need. This may include student portfolios, work samples, observations, formative and summative information, performances, or productions. This cycle of teacher evaluation will be conducted over the course of the school year and involve a number of steps in which you as an educator should be highly engaged. Your district should begin with an orientation where you and your evaluator review the evaluation policy, procedures, evaluation rubrics, timelines, and forms. You should find out if your evaluators have been certified by the Danielson Group through training in Teachscape. Next, You should complete the self-reflection and educator effectiveness plan, review the framework for teaching, self-assess, set your goals, and complete your educator effectiveness plan. Your self-assessment leads to the creation of 2 to 3 professional growth goals. Remember, all components from the framework will be assessed. This goal-setting step is a good opportunity to work together with your peers. Educator effectiveness plan goals must be written in the SMART goal format and relevant to current practices and student needs. These goals and your self-reflection are submitted to your evaluator. Once you've constructed your educator effectiveness plan, schedule an evaluation planning session so that you and your evaluator meet to review your plan and set up an evidence collection schedule. Together, you and your evaluator review and agree on your plan. Throughout the year, both observations and evidence collection are conducted. You are observed and other evidence is gathered for the evaluation. During this time, you should receive ongoing feedback to guide your progress toward the goals you set at the beginning. There are a number of different kinds of observations. You and your colleagues should be aware of the variety of observations that are possible. Pre- and post-observation discussions. At least one of your observations needs to include a pre-observation discussion and a post-observation discussion between you and your evaluator. Different formats can be used to shape those discussions. Be sure to plan with these format templates and be well prepared for your discussions with your evaluator. Throughout the year, both your evaluator will collect and you should provide evidence to complete a rating of practice according to the rubric. Ratings must occur after all evidence is collected for the relative components and domains. Evaluators should not be rating your observations and evidence until sufficient information is gathered to assess each component. Your final evaluation conference is when you and your evaluator meet to review your educator effectiveness plan, the evidence both you and your evaluator have collected, make an assessment of your progress on goals and your evidence for the 4 domains and 22 components. All components are rated on a 4-level scoring rubric. You have the opportunity to comment on the final evaluation results. You and your evaluator should use the evaluation results to personalize your professional development. If your evaluations are yearly, you should then set new goals for the following year's effective educator plan. Each component and domain has a series of rubrics to assess levels of performance for each piece of evidence. Here's an example from one rubric. Because levels of proficiency are not even for all elements, you will demonstrate varying degrees of proficiency on different components. You should find this is true when you conduct your self-reflection in the first part of the educator effectiveness cycle. The DPI has contracted with Teachscape, a virtual community in which many things can be managed in working the educator effectiveness model. Some of these activities include evaluator training and certification tests developed with the Educational Testing Service, evaluation scheduling, feedback, and links to professional development resources, data storage and retrieval, a place for you to review observation notes and store pieces of evidence. What are some things you can do to prepare for EE? Team up with your colleagues. Learn the system together. Thoughtfully complete the self-assessment and know where you are on those rubrics. Understand your role and responsibilities in this cycle of activities. Check out the DPI website on educator effectiveness for more details and resources. Pick a component or 2 to focus on in your teaching, even if you aren't in a pilot right now, because it helps to heighten your awareness of the language and the elements of the rubrics that are used by the Danielson framework. Teach your students and use their performance to direct your instructional planning. So where do we go from here? Plan local activities. Remember, information is power. Learning about this educator effectiveness system can take away some of the stress of the unknown and help you and your colleagues to meet these challenges together. Team up with those colleagues. Share what you know and what you have learned. It helps you and others and can surface common issues as well as strengths. As you work together on the challenges, celebrate your areas of strength. This is about recognizing good teaching as well as improving overall instruction. Remember to ask for help. WEAC, through a diverse network of educators, has members who are very comfortable with Danielson frameworks, with writing SMART goals, and with videotaping classroom observations. Use your union network as an extended professional learning community. Make sure you know what resources are available to you at a district level and what resources you will need to make this evaluation model successful. Access to professional development and time for both planning and reflection will be critical on this side of the evaluation pie.